10 at 10 this morning, but it's good to be together like this. So welcome, if I've not already said, and if you're turning up now after I've got to say hello. But Scripture is full of people being led by God without necessarily knowing where they're going. We could spend all day looking at various different stories, but what God looks for in his people is a willingness to follow him and a heart of obedience. So my hope is that for all of us, that we position ourselves before God in a way which says, here I am, Lord, send me. And that we'd be willing to take steps of faith, not necessarily knowing where the path's leading, but knowing and listening to God as he leads us. Psalm 119 says that your word is a lamp for my feet, a light to my path. And I often remind people that notice how it's a lamp. It's not a floodlight, but a lamp. And if you've ever walked in darkness with just a lamp, you'll know that it only really gives you enough light for the next step or two. And you need to continue to move forward to illuminate the next section of your journey. And as a leadership team of New Life Church, we can totally relate to this encouragement in these unprecedented times. I wish I could kind of turn on the lights and be able to see the whole journey which is before us as a church, but in reality I can't. But we've been reflecting, obviously I was out for a few weeks, but we were together on Tuesday evening. We were reflecting on some of the wonderful things which have come out of this time of lockdown together. There's been some greater family connections, husbands and wives kind of rediscovering each other, families spending more time together, people getting out for walks and exercise. I mean, rarely does a conversation with Gareth not begin with how many steps he's done in a day. It's incredible. The guy is clocking up tens of thousands of steps every day at the moment, which is wonderful. Many DIY projects which have been postponed for years because there's never been enough time, have suddenly been completed. Rooms have been transformed. I popped round to Ray and Sue's yesterday and had a socially distant catch up with them, and their living room and their bedrooms have all been redecorated because suddenly the things that we've never had time to do we haven't got that excuse anymore, and they're being done. Wardrobes have been sorted. Charity shops have never had so much stock, I'm convinced of it. New hobbies have been found, new skills have been embraced, and some of us have taken on a fresh appreciation for different roles and jobs within our society. Particularly if you're a parent, you've got a fresh appreciation for teachers and what they do with our great kids. And it's been great seeing kind of creativity emerging. One of my personal favourites over lockdown was catching story time with Uncle James, as James Wicking used social media to engage with his nieces and nephews through storytelling. It was brilliant. And I mean, he was ably assisted by Dexter as well. And another highlight for me is seeing the generosity of individuals. Again, sorry to pick on you, Wickings, but Lois's desire to bless that department of Reading Hospital with cups that many of you helped to finance, and as others have been picking up shopping for not just people in the church but for their neighbours and looking out for one another. There's been a really lovely kind of sense of generosity that's come through, and there's been some great creativity with kind of activities that don't involve us being in the same room. So I think what Keith's been doing on a Monday night with his quizzes and various different Zoom parties that have been taking place and families connecting. I mean, who even knew about Zoom until recently? It's been wonderful to see the church community serving each other, but serving the community. We've been providing a vital role for paying for shopping for those who are shielding. I think, thank God, my credit card is currently on a zero balance, or it was yesterday. But the transactions, there's been over £11,500 worth of transactions that we've put through for people who are shielding in our community. And that's been a great witness, not just for those on the receiving end of their shopping, but for the volunteers, who many of whom are just people within our community who have been blown away by the proactiveness, and even the Waitrose staff comment on just how wonderful it is to see the community and see the church serving in this way. Our mini food bank, it's been a great place to seek to impact those who we become aware of needing some extra assistance. But for me, one of the real highlights of that is people like Jean Bryce and Ali Scriven, who have identified need in their circle of friends, and rather than it being an anonymous donation, they've said, look, I need a food package for this one. And we've been able to go, there you go. And they've been able to go and serve need. And it's brilliant. And these times, these 10 at 10 times have been a real place of encouragement, haven't they? I've loved seeing and hearing from people who often you might not hear their voices or even see their faces, but in this time, it's been able to see people almost like growing in God before our very eyes. I know I'm not the only one that feels like we're seeing that, and it's been a real joy and a real privilege. And personally, I was just looking at the time, I'm like, personally, just seeing how the leadership team have been just so great for me and for us as a church, connecting with people, serving the church in such generous ways, welcoming us into our homes and families. Fiona would kill me if I turned the camera around, because we would never invite you into our home if it was like this, but you don't get to see that. You get to see this little bit here, which is great. But there's also, there's been some real challenges as well. Let's be really real about it. Many of us are feeling quite tired and jaded. A little bit of screen fatigue is setting in, trying to muster up energy for another Zoom call and so on. And there's also been those who have really struggled at this time, where life was already quite lonely before lockdown, and that's been kind of magnified at this time. There are those who, we've not served well as a church community, and we recognise that, and that does weigh heavily on me, and it should weigh heavily on us as a church. We want to, God, we want to do better each time. And if you're feeling that, I'm so sorry, but I want to encourage you. Would you come towards us as well? Would you say, hey, look, I'm desperate for a group or fellowship or something like that? We'd love to. Please don't suffer in silence, if you hear what I'm saying. And there are some of us who, job security and income has become like a real concern. And there's uncertainty about the future, and it's kind of starting to take hold a little bit. We carry concerns for family and friends and those that are ill or suffering. And there's that frustration, isn't there, where you just can't just pop in on somebody and give them a hug. Or provide them with food because you don't want to make things worse. And for parents, some of us, actually, there's a real concern starting to set in for our kids as they're in their education, and just recognizing that many of us aren't professional teachers, and we're trying to do our best. But you're just concerned your kids are going to not come out of this too damaged. And I think part of what I was even feeling in the recent weeks is just that emotional fatigue. Emotionally drained by this season, with the pressures and the changes which kind of seem to shift from one day to the next, don't they? And there have been so many changes in our culture, changes in how we do church. But I mean, let's be honest, if any nation was born to queue, it was ours. We have embraced queuing in a way that no other nation, I believe, can do it quite as well as us Brits. And I think our team, and when I say our team, I think just those that are serving the church have done absolutely outstanding in this season. They've quickly got us, created a point for us to gather together online, to connect, and week by week that's being tweaked and adapted, and it's being sacrificially served. Many of you have helped those who are not as confident with technology to get online, and we've been providing DVDs for others as well. And it's just been so humbling to see. And like I say, it's not just the leadership team. Many of you spend hours recording music, recording vocals, preparing to do a 10 at 10, or uploading or downloading or editing. And Gareth was telling me that one of the songs last week, Dave Gillard recorded 4 separate guitars for the one song, and he went through. One was like a ticka ticka thing, one was like a bang, one was like a bang bang bang. Anyway, Gareth does it a lot better than me. But some of the stuff like Dave Wright and Poppy Foster have been working on and pulling together has been such a blessing to us, hasn't it? But not just to us, but to our wider community. It's been 17 weeks since we last met together at the building, 116 days since our last Sunday meeting. And in that meeting, there were 109 people in attendance. And that's counting babies, children, youth, those that were serving, and adults. This last Sunday on Facebook, so far it's had 746 views. I've had friends come into church for the first time who for years I've been inviting one way or another, but now through Facebook, through this non-threatening media, they're starting to look in. They're hearing the gospel. They're seeing the people of God worshipping their Saviour. People in the community, partners looking in on church, prodigals starting to find their way back home, friends and family from years gone by being able to reconnect with us. And it's been so wonderful to see. And I want to encourage you, if you do watch church live on Facebook, would you share the link? Don't host a watch party, because that basically just means it's you and your couple of mates watching it together. But if you on the bottom of the feed, you'll see like, comment, and share. And if you hit that, it'll open up another window where you can just type a few lines, something like, why not come to church with me this morning or something like that, and then hit post. And what that does is you'll still be able to be in the main meeting, so to speak, online, but you'll also open it up to every single person that you're a friend with on Facebook. So it's well worth doing, and it's a great way of reaching those who maybe you haven't got the courage to pick up the phone and say, come to church with me, but it's a nice step in that direction. I'm so sorry, this is going to be a slightly longer 10 at 10. I've built up about 4 weeks of them, so sit in for an hour. No, I'm joking. I'm only going to be a minute or two. But thanks for your grace. And the great thing is, if you've got to go, just leave and catch up on the end of it a bit later on. I really want to keep these things to 10 minutes, but I also want to make sure that I do justice to what I feel I want to share with us this morning. So please extend some extra grace to me today. So we have had to embrace possibly the most significant season of change, definitely in my lifetime. And church, you have been incredible. I'm so proud of us as a church, in a good way, not in that kind of pride kind of for a fool sort of way, but just in that way that, guys, we have embraced this, and we have not just survived, but I believe there is some real thriving that's taking place. But there is a longing, isn't there? There's a longing for fellowship. There's a longing to touch and to hold and to worship together and to pray together, to lay hands on each other and share space together, to look into the physical eyes of one another, to laugh, to cry, for me, there's a real longing for the spontaneity that comes in many of our meetings as the gifts of the Spirit are able to just flow so freely. There's a longing for fellowship and for touch. And I'm just going to say it. I'm desperate to hug. I just need to hug people a lot more than I'm having to do at the moment. My poor family are all hugged out. So there is this desperation, isn't there? There's this longing to be together. And I think that's right. I think it's right that we should long after those things. But I want to say we only want to do that when we're confident that it's safe to do so. And we don't want to be a contributing factor to the spread of this ungodly virus in our community. But also, when the guidelines allow us to do it in a way which means that our gathered time together is not kind of like negatively affected by it. You know, we could, you'll know that from the 4th of July, we could start to meet together. But as we've looked, as we've investigated, as we've read in, as we've researched, that just wouldn't look like church. It wouldn't look like how we build, as we have to maintain social distancing and not sing and not be able to raise our voices. And, many who are still shielding wouldn't be able to gather. There's issues with kids and cleaning and toilets and one-way systems and coffee. I don't think we need coffee for church, by the way. I want to make myself clear on that. But even refreshments and how we use the toilets, and you'd still use the toilet the same way you've always used it, but just when and who and how and all of those sort of things. And so as we've been kind of reviewing the guidelines, we know that faith gatherings have been permitted since last Sunday, but we do not feel this is the right time to relaunch our Sunday meetings. There are many factors which we have and continue to consider, but I wanted just this morning to take a few moments to set our course for the coming weeks and maybe manage some expectations, because for some of us, this will be putting your mind at ease, knowing that, okay, right, good, we're not ready for that yet. And for others, I realise this could come as a frustration, but we don't feel it's right to start our larger gatherings in the church at this time. So for July and August, we're going to continue to build together in the ways that we have been doing in this new season. We'll continue to hold our services online on Sunday mornings, but we are entering a new stage where the guidelines allow two households to come together. So do it. Gather together with another household and enjoy church together. Obviously, consider all of the wisdom that comes with the social distancing and all that sort of thing. But why not gather another family together and watch church together this coming Sunday morning? Let's particularly think about those who are by themselves, who have been by themselves for many years, but in this season have particularly known that isolation. And so let's consider those guys. And if you don't know who to invite, why not look through the people that are part of this group, the NLC members only group? They're all people who live in or around Biggin Hill who would say, this is the church I look to. So you don't know who they are, click on their thing, send them a message, invite them to church at your house. We're also permitted to gather in sixes, aren't we, outside? So maybe loved hearing of Malcolm getting hold of a screen and a few of them in Tudor Court gathering around and enjoying church together a few weeks ago. We're going to continue this. We're going to continue our 10 at 10s through July and August. So if you've got something or if you feel like you've got something, we'd love to hear from you. We're going to continue our Saturday morning prayer meetings and our midweek prayer meetings on a monthly basis. Groups are going to continue to meet. And I want to encourage you again to get connected into a group if you've not already done so. And then just finally, oh dear, I've taken nearly 20 at 10. I'm so sorry. But our Sunday evenings, we are planning, providing I can get my head around preparation for Sunday evening, just being honest with you, I'm not there yet. But providing I can get my head around for this Sunday evening, we'll finish off the seventh letter in Revelation. And then we're looking at our Sunday mornings. We recognise our kind of emphasis is on the wider community, on the wider the outreach element of what church has now been. I mean, 746 people. It's like, how many of those don't yet know Jesus? We want to make sure that what we're doing on a Sunday morning is really reaching the need and serving that need. And our Sunday evenings are much more about equipping us as believers, equipping us as followers of Jesus. And so we're just exploring what we're going to continue to do with those Sunday mornings. So we'll keep you in the loop. But there is much to be thankful for in this time. And we know, and I trust you know, that God is still building his church, that his kingdom is still advancing. And I'm confident that we're going to come out of this season, not just with increased maturity in God, but increased relationship together and an increased ability to impact our community and the wider community for the gospel of Jesus Christ. May God bless you. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I don't even know if any of you are still live because I can't see at the moment. But if you are still with me, thanks for sticking it out to the end. And if you've caught up on this, thanks for investing an extra 9 minutes of your day into this. I hope it's been helpful. If you've got any questions, if you've got any concerns, if you've got any ideas, please don't hesitate to drop us an email, drop me a line, talk to the team. We are desperately wanting to follow God's leading in this time. And so please continue to pray for us. We continue to pray for you. God bless you. Amen.